Hey guys, welcome back to Earthit. Hope all of you is safe and healthy. So today we're going to prepare a few very quick and easy gifts, and if you're new here, do subscribe my channel and let's move on to the first gift, which is going to be a love messenger. So for this I'm going to use a glass vial, few metal charms, eye pin, jump ring, and we're going to use sheets of paper and deco transfer sheet. First, let's grab an eye pin. This is basically used in jewelry designs and for the artificial jewelries. We're going to cut it into half using a plier. So be careful while you're doing this, don't hurt yourself. And we're going to open the eye of the eye pin with the help of a plier like this. We're going to insert the key inside and we're going to close it. So it looks like it's nice and hanging, and we're going to insert this on a cork. So make sure that the thickness of the eye pin or thickness of the key that you're using or an embellishment you're using is nice and loose and not too thick. With the help of plier, we're going to insert it inside the cork, and that way it's nice and firm. For the next part, we're going to grab a sheet, we're going to cut it exactly the size we want. It has to be nice and tiny, so write your message in it. We're going to roll it now. So use a pen to just push it up and down, and that way it's going to be easy and flexible with the tension that's created on the paper. Now you're going to conceal it with the help of a jump ring. You're going to just put it over like this, and look at how beautiful it looks. Nice and cute. Now to fill in the container, you can use confetti, you can use glitters, you can use white sand or anything of your choice. Now we're going to put it inside and conceal it with a cork. And there goes our first DIY gift. And to further accentuate it, I'm going to use deco transfer sheets. So I like this pattern. It's just like how we used our tattoos in the younger days. So we're going to cut it close to the pattern in a deco transfer sheet. Now, we know that this is the size of pattern. We are going to remove the top layer, the transparent plastic on top of it. We're going to paste this on top of our surface like this. Once it's pressed firmly without any bubbles, we are going to dab some water and press on it. If it's a larger surface, spray water on top of it. Since this is a very small surface, a very tiny surface, I'm just going to dab some water in my fingers and press it. And as you could see, it started peeling off. I'm going to remove it and look at how beautiful it looks. Just top it up with a layer of varnish and you are done with your first cute little gift. Moving on to the second one, this one is a bookmark. So I'm going to use cardstock from Itsy Bitsy. You can also use old invitation cards or greeting cards for this purpose and paint or print or write on top of it as you wish. I particularly like this pattern, so I'm not going to paint or print anything on top of it. It's just going to be a few words that I'm going to write. If you do not wish to write, you can also use deco transfer sheets. I kind of like the shapes now, more like an English window and an arrow, so I'm going to use a punching machine to create holes, one on the top and one on the bottom. I have used a brush pen over here. You can also use permanent markers, or you can also use size 0 pens to draw and write your patterns or message on the bookmark. I love this bookmark, and we're going to grab a strand of a jute rope and we're going to insert a bead inside. So this wooden rope, which has the color very similar to that of the bookmark that we're going to prepare. So I'm just going to push it inside so that way it's nice and firm, and then we're going to add some feathers to it. Because it looks a little plain, I'm going to add feathers, but the feathers are a little too longer. They are out of proportion, so I'm going to trim the sizes of the feather as well. But once it's done, we can remove the excess jute rope and we can fix it or conceal it with glue. So you can either use super glue or you can use any type of glue that you want. It's just a matter of time that it's going to take to dry. So I have used Fevicryl fabric glue over here. You can use any type of glue that you prefer to. I have used 3D outliners over here to create a very neat and dashed line effect, and there we go, our first bookmark is ready. I try to follow the same concept for the second bookmark as well, and have topped it up with a red satin ribbon, and there we go, our second is also done. For the third gift, we are going to use this old metal containers, and you can also use cookie boxes or anything that's lying around in your home. I have used a cardstock. I love this pattern. I'm going to use decoupage glue. If you do not have this, you can use Fevicol as well. And you can also use Fevicol mixed with water. You can use Mod Podge or any glue of your choice. Now we're going to paste it. Again, my favorite color combination, pale emerald and turquoise blue. I'm going to just grab it around the periphery of the container. So I have just used a flat brush to spread the paint, the lighter colored paint. I'm going to use a round tip brush with a darker color paint, and I'm going to create a stucco effect on the sides of my container, like this. So blend it as much as you want, as far as you're happy with the color combinations that you've done, and I kind of like this effect. I'm going to do the base and the top with white. So the top container, the lid exactly, is going to be of the same concept that we did for the sides. So that way it looks kind of neat and uniform, and the strips of the sheets that we had stuck doesn't look so odd. And for the back and front, I have used a brushed metal concept. This is going to be just brushing the strokes of white paint and turquoise blue. I have done the same for the inside and the outside, and I'll be using a matte varnish for this. I'm not preferring a gel varnish because this one is more on a vintage look, so matte varnish definitely gives a very good look. And make sure to add at least 2 to 3 layers of varnish at the base, because it shouldn't rust, it shouldn't go off, it shouldn't wear off. For this particular container, I used spray paint. Maybe I should have given a coat or more, and I have followed the same concept of brushed metal on the inside. These are the coasters, so I use them as a coaster container in my home. It's like something that I've been using for quite a long time now, and it's really good. It's working out pretty well. You can also use it as a jewelry box or anything else of your choice. Next one is the beer bottle craft. So after washing it like multiple times, the surface is pretty clean now. So I'm going to use a layer of chalk paint over here. So instead of using acrylic directly on top of your surface of glass, use chalk paint or texture paste or primer or gesso, because that's going to adhere to the glass well. But if in case you do not have chalk paint or any of those which I mentioned right now, just use a sandpaper to sand the glass and use your acrylic paint, because acrylic paint wears off from the glass very easily. Now I'm going to use sculpture paste over here. As I had mentioned earlier, you can also use texture paste or anything that is available. It's just a matter of time that it takes to dry. So depending upon the priority and depending upon the materials that are available with you, use the materials accordingly. I have used this stencil over here. It has to be a little firm, so I have pasted it up with a painter's tape. And while you're working with texture paste or sculpture paste, you have to work in unidirection, that is one direction and not multi-directional, so that the paint doesn't get smudged or the texture paste doesn't get smudged. And wash off your stencil immediately, wash off your palette knife immediately, else you're going to get stuck and you'll not be able to use your stencil further. In order to create the template of a heart, I'm going to measure the size and I'm going to grab a smaller paper exactly to the size of the heart that I want. So it's easier for us to work with, and we are going to fold it into half and create the template of a heart like this. Now place it on the top of your container and see if you're convinced with the shape. If you want to trim excess or if you want to alter, you can do it now. I'm going to use orange color and I'm going to just trace the outline of the heart that we just prepared. It's easier for us to trace it with an acrylic color rather than any other substance. You can also use permanent marker in this case. Now once we have traced the template of our heart, we're going to continue creating a uniform surface around the container. So over here I'm going to add chalk paint and a coat of acrylic paint. So this acts as my base surface. So my base itself is a combination of acrylic and chalk paint, so very little probability for it to wear off. And now once I have mixed it up, I'm going to use a sponge to create a very neat texture. So this way the paint spreads uniformly, and while you're using a sponge and chalk paint, we have to be quick. We cannot be slow like how we work in an acrylic. Chalk paint dries off quickly. We have to be very quick. I'm going to use yellow, lemon yellow again over here and add up as a gradient shade. So I'm just trying to work on with a gradient and a texture paste. So give 2 to 3 coats of this after every paint layer dries. You have to give at least 2 to 3 coats. Do not do it while it's wet, else the paint will chip and come off. I'm going to use crimson for the heart or like the main design, and it's preferable you use it raw and you do not use or mix water or dilute it. If you really want a diluted effect, mix it up with Mod Podge or acrylic mediums like gel mediums. And in order to continue the pattern, I'm going to use 3D liners. This is also from Fevicryl. I'm going to just create this pattern around the heart, so it kind of gives a nice border effect and defines the shape. I've used size 0 brush with white acrylic paint to define the pattern of text whatever we have done. Since the stencil was like kind of up and down, it was not so convenient. I have just given a layer of white over here, so that defines and holds the paint well. Now over here I have covered it up with yellow and orange, the same colors that I'd used on the bottom. The top and the bottom of the bottle, I'm going to use it inside the text as well, and we are going to complete the artwork. Now once it's done, I'm going to top it up a little bit more with 3D outliner with a red color to create a very little border. I'm not going to add any other embellishment. I kind of like this. It's pretty neat and good. So I'm just going to leave it off like this with just 2 layers of these red 3D outliner dots. And I have given 1 more layer of golden dot right in between, which acts as a belt, and we are done with our craft work. So anything that's going to be customized for a special person holds in their heart, and they're going to hold it in their heart forever. So hope you guys liked it. Hope you have a great time with your loved ones. Meet you guys in the next video. Until then, namaste.